This is the first time you're watching this, you're going to find it unusual because I'm not just going to tell you what is there to come. We're going to go in and experience this together, and we're going to have a chance to talk about this, what these energies are that we are feeling here for the coming week 31, that is the 24th till the 30th of July. Everybody to our Friday energy talk, our energy update, and experiencing collective energies and talking about them. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy therapist and visionary, helping you to make sense of these things that you're experiencing in the unconscious, in the unseen. Yeah, welcome to all of you here in the live stream on Skype. So what are these energies here that are coming in with the full moon tonight? As many of you probably know, full moon energies are always bringing closure or release to something. And we have these daily sacred self meditations and energy talks every day of the week. And we had a little bit of a discussion on Wednesday about this feeling of urgency, this immediacy feeling, and the pressure that comes from that. And a lot of that obviously has to do with our collective situation, with COVID sort of picking up again, especially here in the United States, and all kinds of war cries about vaccines and all that comes with it. And I just, without going deeper into the subject, want to send out an impulse to all of you, no matter where you're standing here. This time is the time when we need to learn neutrality. We need to learn how to come to a place where we can verify something from within, where we can reclaim truth from within ourselves. And that is a huge evolutionary step in our consciousness development, because up until now, or at least for as long as we can read this up in historical scripture, we have been told what truth is. We have been told how the world works, how we work, how God works, how all these works. And this is a new time for us, a new era. And this isn't something woo out there. This is really happening right now in our practical 3D lives, all right? We are at a point, and I've often referred to this as bifurcation, where we have to step into something that needs to be generated from within ourselves. If we go and look on the outside, which right now is extremely confusing, we cannot really find the certainty that we need to see a bright future, to be optimistic, or to even know what to do. And this is why it's very important to pay attention right now, because no matter what part of this polarizing energy, polarizing always means that it pulls you into one or the other extreme. No matter which part you're gravitating to, if you want to really use this phenomenal manifestation energy that is coming in here for not just this next week, but also August, as I'm already working on the incoming August energies with every full moon, the new month's energies are coming in. And those of you here familiar with what I do, you know that at the end of every month I do an energetic tune-up for the next month, which is happening tomorrow at 10 p.m. Florida time, and doing personal readings for you, what this energy is doing to your life view, to your, inner processing, and how to better interpret this so that you can touch down with your inner guidance better. And these energies, these manifestation energies, have a lot to do with our thoughts, with the power of our perspective, if you will. And here is the problem, and this is what most of us find quite challenging at the moment. On one hand, we can clearly state now that we want security, we want connection, we want warmth, we want all these things that remind us of what truly matters to us. But on the other hand, we've made so many compromises in our life to have, like, say, certain privileges, or, to fulfill desires that on second guess aren't really part of what we truly need or truly want. And this is the part here that you will feel very strongly coming in this next week. It's all about reclaiming truth. In the forecast for July, I said the month of July is all about recovery. And recovery can be part of finding new healing ways, better ways of dealing with things, better ways of mending things. But it can also mean, and it's ultimately the same, to recover something. And those of you who are very conscious here in this process, you can use this next week to work out what it actually is that is being recovered inside of you. On the outside, there'll be a lot of uncovering of truth. There'll be a lot of revelation, and that is still part of our collective, sort of lagging behind in this sort of bigger movement for our entire, species, if you will, to move into a higher level of consciousness. But we as individuals, we are the ones that are in constant interaction with this. And the more conscious we can become about how our interaction with these outer energies are, the more we can find strength and courage and hope there. Let me explain this to you real quick. Many of you are aware of things such as karma, and you see it as fate or destiny. But this is a little bit of a misconception, because if you actually feel into all these patterns from your lifetime, from this lifetime that you can remember, you can see that there is something like a personality that you've developed that makes you see things in a certain perspective, that makes you interpret things in a certain way, and that produces a certain judgment about what you are experiencing. Yeah, so you have this view, okay, a life view, and this comes mainly through your thoughts. So your thoughts are producing this interpretation of what you're doing, and then as a consequence your thoughts are producing emotions around this. And then in energy work we call these emotions around your thoughts attachments, because they have to do with your personal experience, with your conditioning, with your behavior patterns, and with how you have learned in the past to cope with things. And this is really the part here that when it comes to recovery that needs to be illuminated a little closer, because just because we have been coping with things like this in the past doesn't mean that this is the way to do this. Because if we are realigning ourselves to what truly matters to us, it's like we are a whole new person with whole new needs and new wants, and everything in our life kind of needs to adjust to this, which means we have to shift our perspective. And with our shift in perspective, which happens for most of us in the mental, in the cognition, like how we interpret the things that we are experiencing, our inner energies change. And this is the part here that many people don't understand about manifestation or karma. You have the power to out-vibrate your karma. Your karma is like a propensity, like a certain probability that you're going to do something in a certain way. But if you can find that sweet spot, yeah, tuning into your I am awareness, being fully here in the now, you will find that you have the power to change that. You can literally change the context through changing the way you look at things, the way you interpret them, the kind of thoughts that you allow in. Now, that said, when there is trauma in our life, then there's sort of roadblocks on the way of this. It's not that easy to do that because trauma produces like an overlay or a hardwire, an immediate emotional or physical reaction to something that we're seeing. And this is where most of us get stuck. This is what's been happening here in these last year and a half. We have been confronted with something really threatening to our personal lives, lifestyles, our loved ones, our careers, our children, our parents. And that has produced a bit of a trauma conditioning in us. In other words, there is our nervous system, the most primal sort of core programming that we have that is reacting to this immediate threat. And you will not be able to change that. That is, part of your human design, that you have this nervous system that can bring you into this place of reacting very swiftly to an immediate threat. But as you can see, it's not like an immediate threat. It's just really the thought of the immediate threat that causes all this disturbance in you, in your body, as well as your emotions. And when trauma is in place, this counts for any kind of trauma, childhood trauma, trauma through like say an accident, or a very sort of overwhelming event on any of the levels, physically, emotional, mentally, spiritually, or through what we are going through right now, namely a prolonged sort of complex trauma situation where our energy constantly gets pushed and pulled into all these different polarized thoughts and viewpoints. And when I talked about neutrality in the beginning, what I was referring to is our ability to actually stand in the middle, recognize that it is your body mind, that autopilot in you responding to an information that comes in from the outside. You won't be able to do anything about this other than breathing through it, reminding yourself to stay in the now. Last week we talked about this. It takes about 6 seconds, guys. So our grandmas were right. Count till 10, okay, to get through this first sort of onslaught of your nervous system reacting, and then observing your thoughts and judgments around it. Because if you can pinpoint and discipline this a little bit, you can become a very successful energy manager. You will find that it is not what happens, but what your mind makes of it. And with trauma in the game, you have all these emotions that come in as sort of the second layer of autopilot, almost incapable of even hearing your thoughts. And this is where, most of us get stuck, which is why the healing process can take a little bit of time, the overall healing process of us claiming back our own power. We have to recognize that thoughts and emotions come as an immediate reaction of our body being, our 5 senses being exposed to something. So to say all this in a simpler way, if you want to break through trauma conditioning, autopilot, unhealthy coping mechanisms, addictions, things that make you check out, where you really just sort of go hunker down, which would be the worst case scenario. That would be you giving up your power and you becoming a bouncy ball of collective energies. But if you want to be in charge of your own energy, in charge of your own karma in that way, you're going to have to learn how to discipline your thoughts and your emotions. And not in the way that you think, not in the sense of repressing it or not allowing it or trying to meditate it away. No, in the sense of really stepping into it, stepping into the here and now, stepping into your thoughts and into the emotions that are being triggered through your thoughts and weeding them out one by one. Yeah. And people like me who have a shamanic training and who help other people to do this with tips and tricks and stuff, I always have a feather around wherever I am. And this may sound a little weird, but I take thoughts that are coming in because I see them as energies and literally swoosh them away. Sometimes I take them and throw them behind me. There's a scene or several scenes in Harry Potter, if you've liked the movies, where Dumbledore does that, where he pulls memories out and throws them away. Maybe that's a good image for you, how you can proceed with these thoughts and the emotions that are being triggered by them. So, what is the energy tip for this next week? Stay in neutrality. And how do you do this? By observing your thoughts and your emotions going into a fear place with them. Why do you not want to allow that? Because fear makes you externalize your power, makes you give up your power, makes you become a victim. Okay? And what is the antidote to fear? Courage. If you are lacking courage at the moment, if you're lacking hope, if you're lacking optimism at the moment, then it's because you are paying attention to your fear thoughts only. And with yourself disciplining these fear thoughts, okay, and just simply making this a daily habit, cultivate this and embody this, you will feel courage come back in. You will feel hope come back in. You will feel how your perspective changes, how your perception changes of yourself and others, how your self-worth returns. And those of you who are familiar with spiritual guidance and like all the support that we can get through the spiritual realm, you will feel support coming. This is my tip for this next week. You are not alone, neither here in 3D nor in the etheric astral realm. Okay? And if you want to feel that support, if you want to feel that courage, which is coming in very strongly right now. We call this divine order sometimes, but there's also something that has to do with you even tuning into that radio station. So the more you can tune into this I am awareness of yourself, which can only happen if you are in charge of your own power, the more support you will feel. And it will feel very real. And these days to come here this weekend, And maybe not next week so much. It's still going to be a little rocky. There's still a lot going on here in the collective. So the heat's not turning down, but your ability to pierce through that will go up. And coming August, there are some wonderful things that you can manifest with this. Just remember your thoughts and your awareness around it is like a magical wand. Yeah, and many of you have actually really good manifestation abilities, but you're not aware of what you're manifesting. Every time you have a negative, self-degrading, or fearful thought, which then energizes the fearful and negative emotion around it, you are manifesting negative things into your life. And if that's all that you remember, that's what did it to me. Just the possibility of that. That one question, what if she's right? What if every negative thought that I have produces a negative propensity for something to happen? And what if every positive thought that I have, or courageous or hopeful or compassionate or forgiving thought that I have, anything that expresses love and love for life and, you know, all there is, produces something positive or manifests something positive in my life? What if that's true? I realized that I'd be screwed. This is an insight that came to me about 30 years ago. And from then on, I started to become a bookkeeper of my thoughts and my emotions. And not in the sense of constantly doubting or questioning myself, but in the sense of catching it right away and reframing it. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging fear, with acknowledging, negativity in the moment. But we have to make sure that that is not staying on the record as what is being manifested next. So this concludes the energy tip here for this next week, week 31. Then let's move on to our experience together here in this energy meditation, the experience course. I said this week is about reclaiming truth. And reclaiming truth means reclaiming choice, making this a conscious experience. And it's beautiful how we could experience this when we go into this deeper inner place. I have a few minutes, guys, or actually 1 minute. Does anybody like to share? Cheryl saying it's one of your favorite steps. I hear it differently each time. That is so true. The same for me, actually. I wrote all the steps, but when I listened to them and experienced them with you, I can see so many different things. Yes, very powerful. If you would like to know more about the Experience online course that comes with 24 of those energy meditations and workbook and lots of workshops and talks around this, then please go to my website, transcodes.com. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to the channel here so that you get notified when the next energy tips and energy forecasts, and sometimes also talks about current events and energies when they come out. Thank you all for your support. If you're interested in the energetic tune-up for August, then please go check here in this chat. It's tomorrow, Saturday, the 24th at 10 p.m. Florida time. Thank you all for sharing and for coming. Bye bye.